guys, welcome back to Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho. Thank you so much for watching. And guys, today we are talking about Kenneth Walker, running back out of Michigan State. This is a Wake Forest transfer, and I don't know what Wake Forest was thinking letting this dude walk out the door, because he went to Michigan State and absolutely blew up the college football landscape, really in one season, ascending to possibly the top running back in the class, having an absolutely massive season, putting up a total of 1,634 rushing yards on 262 attempts, and adding an extra 89 yards through the air, 18 touchdowns in the 2021 college football season. Michigan State found an absolute gem in the transfer portal, and we found an absolute gem in the draft. I think this is a guy who will come onto the scene in the NFL and be a day one starting running back, a day one workhorse type of guy. Let's get to the skill chart right now and just talk about what he can do, what to expect from him in the NFL level, and how good this dude can really be. And let's just start at the top here with vision. I mean, 6 is a very positive grade for me. Just so you know, from my ranking system, a 7 and above is an elite grade, and a 6 is a very, very good grade for me. Only reason it's not in the elite category for me, there are two things, and one of them is a theme that I'll probably touch on a little bit, and one is a very, very minor thing. The very, very minor thing being, there was every once in a great while where I was like, maybe that cutback lane, like maybe I would have liked to see him cut it back the other way. Maybe he could have seen, this little thing that I found on film when watching it, one frame at a time versus him in the moment, playing at 100%. That's a minor thing that I don't really lose a whole lot of sleep over. If you see it consistently, it's an issue. You didn't see it consistently. It's very, very rare, but that was, just once or twice, that was enough for me to kick it down a little bit. The other was something really not in his control. He was playing behind a really good Michigan State offensive line, or at least I thought so. All right, there was a lot of holes opened up. There was a lot of, quote unquote, easy yards. And I say, quote unquote, you still have to have the explosiveness. You still have to, a great running back makes a hole look even bigger than it is. Like, that's always been the case. And I do believe, was a great college running back and can and will be a great NFL running back. So again, that's something that I might bring up again here and there. Not a huge thing, not really his fault at all. It's a good thing that he got to play behind a great offensive line. But it's one of those things with a running back specifically. It's like it makes you question it. It's the same thing, a quarterback from Alabama. All of the talent around him, it makes you question it, right? And it's impossible not to, and at least it does for me. All right, agility is 6.8, just under elite. This is an incredibly elusive one-cut runner. He has the home run speed, and we'll talk about that later on. Explosiveness is truly, truly elite. He can do all of those things, but agility, his lateral quickness, his jump cut ability, all of those things, they're really, really good and just under the bar for me at elite. So like, that's incredibly great. And to have that ability, the agility, and then be complemented so well by contact balance, this dude doesn't go down for first contact. It just doesn't happen. Dude can run through contact very, very well, runs with good power, runs with good pad level. All of those things are really, really good, and it's a big part of his game. Now, the biggest part of his game, as I said, as we just kind of go through this circle, is explosiveness. At an 8.2, I don't give out a lot of 8s. 8 and above is truly its own echelon. That means that this guy is among the best, most explosive running backs that I have ever scouted. It is elite. It's top notch. It's all the things that you want it to be. It's special, and every team, every coach that watches this dude, that's thinking about drafting this dude, is going to be really, really excited to get him into the building, to get him behind their offensive line in the NFL, and just get the ball in his hands, because he can do special things with the ball in his hands. All right, now let's get to the first thing that, gives you a little bit of pause. This is the only thing that makes me think, oh, maybe he won't be a 3-down back from day one at the NFL level. His pass protection was below average, in my opinion. At a 4, that's a below average grade. Now, that's not, a super nuanced grade. That's just me saying, yeah, hey, they didn't ask him to do it a whole lot, but when he did do it, it was not something that he took a lot of pride in. You could clearly see he'd throw a shoulder, he'd get in the guy's way, but but there wasn't that level of, ferociousness. There wasn't a level of physicality that he brought to pass protection the way he brings to running the ball. And I do think that's a little bit up here. Now, I don't know. That's something I do think is easily coached out of him, as far as, his ability to pass protect will get better as he goes through an NFL training camp, and NFL coaches, making it very clear that this is a big part of the game and very contingent on his ability to play and get snaps is his ability to pass protect. That's a real thing. And then, power, plays with good power. That's a checks the box grade at a 5.1. It's good. He's not a power back. This dude's 5'10", 210, 220 in that range. So he's not going to play with immense power, but he has great contact balance. He does punish second level defenders coming down and trying to tackle him. He doesn't make anything easy. Doesn't give any tackles away. Doesn't give any yards up easily. So all those things are fine. They're positive. They're good. And then moving right along to pass catching at a 4. This is one of those things where, I have a total of 16 targets in the 2021 season. All right. So just not a whole lot of sample size to really look at. That's not how he was utilized in college. There's nothing about his game that thinks he can't be a good pass catching running back. There's nothing about his game that tells me he can't go into a system that heavily relies on, throwing the ball to the backfield out in the flats and be really, really good at that. There's nothing that tells me he can't do it, but there's nothing that tells me he can either, just because it really wasn't on film a whole lot. He might get a swing pass here or there. I do believe he ran a fair amount of routes, so that's fair to point out, but it was not a big part of his game. Not something I'm really going to harp on, but definitely a negative grade, just in the sense that you just didn't see it a whole lot in college. Patience at a 5.3, again, another checks the box grade for me. He did, as I said earlier, have a good offensive line, so he had the luxury to let blocks develop and all of these things, but he has good vision, he has good patience, all those things are positive. Breaking tackles at a 7.1, another elite grade for Kenneth Walker here. He had the most forced missed tackles in the entire college football landscape this past year with 89. Now that's a PFF grade, and that just accounts for qualifying running backs, but still, he was really, really elusive. He was really, really explosive. That was his game, and he played it at a very, very high level. So it's an elite grade for me. Ability in the open field, again, complements that. His ability to make guys miss in the open field, his ability to hit the home run ball, to his ability to change the game with his legs and his rushing ability. It's elite. It's really, really good. And then short area quickness at a 6.7. Same concept. He is explosive out of cuts. He has all the things that you want to see from a top-notch RB1 type of running back. And really, when you look at him overall, there's really not a lot of parts of his game that I can really point to and say that's bad. Yes, pass protection needs work. That's a real thing that I think that's going to have to be coached out of him. Pass catching, although it was a negative grade, can I really say it's negative when he had 13 catches on 16 targets? There's really not a whole lot that I can say that's bad about that. It just is what it is. It wasn't a part of his game at Michigan State, and that's really the long and short of it. That's really all that you can say beyond that, and you can just point to the future and say, I think he projects really well as a pass catcher, and move on from there. And then on top of that, there's a nice little, cherry on top that, hey, he's only had one real season of a full workload. He's only had one full college season of being the primary back and being out there for the majority of the snaps. So there's not a lot of tread in the tires. It's not like Michigan State was running this dude into the ground for 3 years straight. They got one good year out of him. Great year. Michigan State can be happy. And now Kenneth Walker can go to the NFL and have a ton of carries in his future and not feel like he's being worn down. And I understand that's a very minor thing. Some people don't buy into it as much as others do. But regardless of where you stand on that conversation, it's a positive for Kenneth Walker. So it's kind of interesting to talk about Kenneth Walker, a very, very interesting prospect, and a guy that I think, the Dolphins are going to be drafting really, really late in the draft. As of recording this, the 49ers are still in the playoffs going into the championship weekend. The Dolphins have the 49ers first round pick. So it would make a whole lot of sense to me for the Dolphins to target a guy like this late in the first round. I'm not a big running back in the first round type of guy, so you're not going to hear me, talk about him with really any team that's drafting inside the top 20. Although I don't think any team that is in that range that took a Kenneth Walker is going to be too upset about it. I don't see it a whole lot, and I don't overall love the idea as far as a positional value thing goes. So that's just where I stand on that whole argument, which is kind of a big thing in the draft community, at least. So yeah, top end day two pick, or bottom of the first round type of guy. I could see him going anywhere in that range. He's an elite athlete, he's an elite prospect, and he's a guy that I think is going to have a long and prosperous NFL career and make a lot of fantasy owners very happy as well. I can wholeheartedly see that. That's all I really have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. That's Kenneth Walker in a nutshell right there. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Really does help me out trying to grow this channel a little bit more. Got a lot of growth last year. This time we're trying to keep it moving. This is a high draft channel, all right? We talk a lot of NFL draft profiles multiple times a week. You have Mock Draft Monday every single Monday, and a bunch of other stuff as we get through the off season. Thank you so much, guys. We'll be back soon. Peace.